Okay, well, who in here likes to win? Like, you really? Because you were like the third or fourth person to raise that hand. Like, you were slow with it. I'm just saying, I don't know. Something like that would bother me. But for me, growing up, I had brothers. I'm the middle child, so it was like always a competition. You know what I'm saying? It was always a competition between like who could get to the car first. You know, it's like, hey, relief, a shotgun. Like, you just yell it really quick. We would have a competition to see who could eat our food the fastest, who could do the coolest trick on the trampoline, who could ride our dirt bike the fastest, you know, and who was better at, like, Madden or something like that, who could make the best contraption. We were always building things and, you know, sending hamsters up and bottle rockets and stuff like that, or, I don't know, normal stuff. They survived, okay? I'm not like a freak. We'll see who could make the most money. I don't know, things like this. Dude, in fact, like, when we play the games here before service and stuff, like, it's everything in me not to just go and, like, this is Sparta, like, judo kick someone in the neck so I'll win the game. Like, don't even play me at rock, paper, scissors right now, bro, because I'll win. And even if I don't, I'll find a way to prove that you cheated, okay? So if you're not cheating, you're not trying, I always say. I mean, you know, we had a Brawlhalla tournament in here, like, a couple weeks ago. It was me in the final round versus like an 8-year-old. I destroyed him. I just want y'all to know I won that whole tournament, okay? I just want y'all to know. And maybe you're in here and you're like, Ren, I'm not a very competitive person. Like, shut up. Slow down. It's all good, man. Take it easy. That's fine. You can be that too. I'll be even more chill than you. You know, I'll win at that too. No. It's okay. Even if that's you, you have to recognize and realize, like, there's competition all around us, all over the place, all the time. Especially in this season with, like, football playoffs and stuff going on. It seems like everywhere I look, did someone just say hook 'em? You know, good, because we're in Austin and it's all right. It's all right. We love them anyway. It's okay. All things, all people. Oh, I like the fighting Texas Aggies. Whoop! Come on, give me a break. Bro, peep the shoe game. These are A&M shoes right now. It's like that. Hey, yo. A house divided cannot stand, y'all. We must join together, my brothers and sisters in Christ. Okay, so it's everywhere. Like I said, we hear phrases like, I crushed, like at school even, it's like, I crushed that test, or I killed it, or buddy got annihilated, obliterated, curb stomped, clapped, pummeled, cooked. There's so many of these things. Heck, my son murdered some dino nuggies just yesterday. He's like, Pops, I murdered those dino nuggies. I'm like, good for you. Why did you have to do that to them? But these are just phrases that we use. Why are they all so destructive? Why are they all so violent? Have y'all noticed? They're just violent. We say this stuff all the time. It's like it's a good thing. And don't get me wrong, like, if you've spent any time around me, you know I'm this way. Like, I'll use words you've never even heard of to describe the utter annihilation and destruction of something so trivial. I love it. It's fun. But the question remains, why? Why? Have you ever really thought about it on a deeper level? Like, why does our success or achievement have to include the destruction of someone or something else? It's this whole, like, the squishing and stomping on someone else to elevate yourself. Like, why does that have to be the case? Why can't we all be better together? And that's what I kind of want to explore the next couple weeks. Like, is it possible to have both kind of thing? You know what I'm saying? So you can actually summarize the root of all of this complexity and this issue in one word, And that word is pride. If you're taking notes this morning, there's a lot of stuff that's going to be in here for you, especially as we get towards the end. So just be aware and be ready. But pride is actually the original sin. It's what got Satan kicked out of heaven. It's what got Adam and Eve to give in the garden. And it is considered by most theologians to be the root of all sin, even today. Like if any sin you could possibly commit, even if it's lying or stealing or whatever, the root of it, when you peel all the layers of the onion back, is probably pride. What is pride? In essence, there's a lot of different definitions, but really it's thinking that your needs or wants or desires are more important than somebody else's. Like you are entitled to something that you should have, that you should get, and it's more valuable, it's worth putting someone else down in order to achieve or attain it. And let's be honest, like when you see a really prideful person who's very it's annoying as heck, right? Like we don't like that person who's got to always be putting other people down so they feel better about themselves because they're probably insecure and there's probably trauma deep down underneath or something like that. But regardless, it's annoying. Like someone who's overly confident just gives us the ick, you know? And we don't want to be like that, right? Because we don't like getting other people. But what's the alternative? Is it just to like be this subservient, quiet little wallflower that just like lays down all the time? And it's like, no, after you. Just constantly putting other people first, and I'm just a loser. I hate myself. Like, no, that's not it either, right? So what is the balance? What is the solution? Well, in this ancient letter, we're going to be in the book of James this morning. So if you have the Bible or the Bible app, go ahead and flip to James. It's in the back. And James is actually the half-brother of Jesus, and he wrote this letter to early Christians who were trying to figure out what it was like to follow Jesus, to follow the teachings of Jesus. Jesus had just done the whole death, burial, resurrection thing, ascended into heaven, and here's the Holy Spirit, and everyone was like, sick, now what? So James has noticed something in the people. He's noticed they're all competing with one another. They're all putting other people down, trying to elevate themselves above others. They're arguing, they're bickering, they're fighting. And if you look at the beginning of James chapter 4, you can see this. They're even killing each other. Don't do that. I mean, literally, they're not like, killed it. They're like, literally, I killed him. I did that the other day. I killed the guy. That's what it was like. So don't do that. So James notices this, and he offers an interesting solution. He says we've got to humble ourselves before the Lord. In James chapter 4, verse 10. And you can read the whole chapter. It's pretty short if you want to. Because like I said, 9 verses before this, he's talking about how these people want what they don't have. You ever wanted something that you didn't have? Dude, me too. What did you do to get it? Or were you content just to not have it? That's the deeper issue, right? Because these guys were going back and forth like it was a freaking Kendrick Drake diss track, bro. It was rough back then. And he says, here's the solution, one word, humility. The problem, one word, pride. The solution, one word, humility. But listen, it's not just humility, it's humility before the Lord. So what does that look like? And what's the difference? Well, in his book called James, this guy just did a study of the book of James in the Bible. And George M. Stulack, what a rad last name, right? Can I switch? He tells the story of a man named Ralph Bell, who was an evangelist, and he worked closely with the late Billy Graham, who evangelized all over the world. And he writes this, I'm just going to read a chunk from his book. He says, Bell is a Canadian-born black man who lives and ministers in the United States. As a young man, he struggled with experiences of racial insults and discrimination. Being so treated by fellow Christians who were disobeying James's instructions about impartiality was especially hurtful. Bell shares his struggles with his mother, who counseled him to keep his eyes on Jesus because Jesus would never disappoint him. As he sought to apply that advice, he began to find the grace to see others' racism as their problem. He further sought grace from God to purify his own life of hatred toward those who mistreated him. In James's terms, Ralph Bell humbled himself before the Lord, and he found himself being lifted up by the grace of God to be able to even love his enemies. How does one love hostile and hurtful people? The answer is supernaturally by relying on the grace that God gives to the humble. I think that is the balance. Because if you'll notice, he didn't just lay down and take it and let people walk all over him, but he also didn't rule over them with a bunch of tyranny and come out with a bunch of overly confident aggression either. What did he do? He humbled himself before the Lord. He clung to Jesus. He found his encouragement and his peace and his grace in God, and then he prayed for those people. He prayed for them. He took it to God. He kept proclaiming the truth and confidence in the one that will never fail and that will never let him down. The same author, Stulak, goes on to write this: the highest honor in heaven will be the reward of the greatest humility on earth. I like that. It inspires me to live a life with this confident humility, relying on the Lord, because it doesn't come from us. It doesn't come from me. It's not natural. It's not something that I just do with ease. This is something that's got to come from God, not to whoever wins the most, or to whoever is the best, or whoever is the fastest, whoever is the state champion, or whoever is nationally ranked in whatever, or has the scholarship, or is super wealthy, or is a social media influencer, or has the most friends, or whatever. It's to the one who's the most humble. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing all those things. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with accomplishing things and achieving things. Go do it. Go do it all. Go be the best. But do it for the glory of God, not your own. Does that make sense? I think it was one of the games. It was one of the playoff games this past weekend. And one of the players, when he was interviewed after just winning the game, I think the reporter asked a question about the game. Before he answered that question, he had to give all glory and praise to Jesus Christ. And then he answered the question. I liked that. So do it with humility. Because he's confident. He just won this playoff game. He's going to the semifinals. There's confidence there, but there's also humility. He gave it to the Lord. Do it with humility before the Lord, not pride before people. Because what could he have said? He could have said, "You dang right, all me, baby." But he didn't. He said, "You dang right, all God, baby." James says in verse 8 of chapter 4, "Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you." If you struggle with this, just know it's hard to walk with God if he's not near you, right? So maybe in 2025, we'll start by doing a couple things. Number one, spend some time with him. Make it a goal to spend more time with God in 2025 than you did in 2024. That could just be a couple of minutes. It could be something very simple. It could just be doing the YouVersion Bible plan that goes along with this series. It takes 60 seconds every day. As we go through it together, we'll all do it together. So spend some time with God. Recognize him. It doesn't have to look like that. It doesn't have to look like I got to get in a Bible and write in a journal and get into a quiet, closed place. Bro, you could put in your AirPods and just be going around doing anything and just listen to it on your phone, or listen to a sermon or a podcast, or read an audiobook as you go, or watch a Christian YouTube video or something but just make an effort to whatever works for you to spend some time with God. All right, just switch out one song in your playlist with the Christian one so it comes on. I don't know what you got to do. Do what works for you, but do something. Number two, talk with God in prayer, spend time in prayer. And again, doesn't have to look any type of way. I always thought it had to look a certain way and I had to pray a certain thing. It does not. Someone described prayer to me as this, because in the Bible, he says pray without ceasing. You should never stop praying. They said it's kind of like having a hacking cough. You're not always coughing, but you always have a cough. You know what I'm saying? So it's you're in this state of prayer, but you might not always actively be praying. You're just sort of acknowledging God as you go with things, making that kind of a habit. And realizing that God can handle the joys, the struggles, the pain, the passion, the complaints, the gratitude, the anger, the fear, the stress. He can handle it all. Give it to him. I've been out into the middle of the field in the middle of the night and screamed cuss words at God. He can handle it. Number three, surround yourself with people who point you to God. Look, you're doing that right now, okay? If you look around, pretty sick people in here, okay? We're all trying to do this thing together. But remember this, you become like the ones you spend the most time with. So who do you spend time with? If you want to become more like Jesus, you got to spend time with him, right? If you want your friend group to like be one that builds you up instead of tears you down, who are you spending time with? Check yourself on this stuff, because proximity changes your perspective. And that comes with people, with God, with everyone. The closer you get to him, the more like him you'll be, for better or for worse. So what can you do in 25 to draw closer to God? Because like Justin said earlier, when he came up and read scripture and prayed, Jesus, he had every right to come to this planet and say, I'm the boss, I'm the king, bow down, worship me. I rule you, I own you, I can have anything I want. You could take over the whole world, do whatever. He could have used all of the language. I could destroy, I could curb stomp, clap, annihilate, obliterate. Like he could have said all that to the opposition, but he didn't. What did he do instead? He humbled himself before the Lord, right? Philippians 2:8, I'll finish with this, says about Jesus, being found in the appearance as a man, he humbled himself. He didn't elevate himself with pride before people. He humbled himself before the Lord by becoming obedient even to death, even death on a cross. And that wasn't weakness, y'all. It was actually strength. And most importantly, it was love.